Well, you seem to know more than anybody else around here.
Well, if you only knew how little I know about the things that matter.
What things that matter?
You know what things.
Call Me By Your Name is a film that came out in 2017 that's directed by Luca Guadagnino. So, Call Me By Your Name was last week's Patriot Poll winner, and Call Me By Your Name is a film that's just been a long time coming. I've been very interested in this film since its release, and I just unfortunately never really got around to it, but now thanks to my patrons, I'm essentially forced to watch it, so I can't make any excuses. And now that I finally watched the film, I pretty much agree with everybody on this film, at least with most people, that this is a genuinely great film. I think that on pretty much all phases, this is really effective. And what really impressed me the most about this film is its attention to detail. Whether it be the delicate sound design or the wonderful framing throughout the entire film, whether it be the color grading and just the vibrancy that this film gives off, whether it be the character writing and the little details within the dialogue, and the blocking throughout the entire film. The direction in pretty much every single phase of this film is incredibly meticulous. And it's a huge reason why this film feels incredibly intimate. It feels incredibly personal. The level of sheer sensitivity and sensuality in this film is unlike any other film that I've seen depict a gay romance. And I completely understand that the age gap romance that's depicted between these two characters in the film can be really off-putting and really uncomfortable. And I think it's totally reasonable to feel that way when you're watching the film. It's just that, to me, that's completely intentional. This film does want to make you feel uncomfortable. It wants to challenge our traditional view of things. And I think the best works of art to ever exist, are always pushing boundaries and are always challenging the conventional and traditional values and views of the audience. And I believe that this film handles that taboo incredibly well. So incredibly well to the point where none of the characters in this film have to verbally bring this up at any point. I can see that being perhaps a criticism from a lot of people watching it, but to me, a lot of it is explored through the implications of the character details, through the characters' actions, and also, as I mentioned, the sheer sensitivity between these two characters. Because this film, in my opinion, just does an excellent job at demonstrating the sheer amount of attraction that these two characters have for each other. And how these two characters handle the attraction that they have for each other is actually quite complex. I was actually really impressed to see that the director and the screenwriter was able to write these characters in a way that makes it not so black and white. For example, the character Elio, played by Timothée Chalamet in this film, which, by the way, this performance by Timothée Chalamet is by far the best performance I've seen from him. Not that he's bad in the other films that I've seen him in. He's pretty great in pretty much every film that I've seen him in, but he is extraordinary here. There's not a single second in this film that you don't buy the level of attraction that he has for Oliver. I mean, the range of emotions that he has to express in this film is quite insane. And a lot of these complex emotions that he has to express are done through subtle facial expressions. And that's not to say that Armie Hammer also wasn't fantastic. He is spectacular in this film as well. Huge kudos to both of these actors because I think that they embodied these characters incredibly well. But anyway, getting back to my example, Elio in this film, he's obviously the younger of the two, and through like the first 35 or 40 minutes of this film, we see his character unravel in a way to where he's also just trying to come to terms with how he's feeling. And when Oliver and Elio first engage sexually, there's this really vital and great scene where Elio is just trying to figure out what that even meant to him. And he's having a lot of difficulty and just going through a lot of struggle trying to contemplate, how he feels about what just happened. And I think that's a really important detail to include in a film like this, to where just demonstrating the complexity of sexuality and love. He's never truly felt this way about another man before, at least to this degree. And, he's just trying to figure out what were these feelings towards him purely sexual? And also, how does Oliver feel about the situation? Is he just using Elio for sex as well? So, I really appreciated that this film, was able to express the levels of complexity that people feel towards these really important aspects of human life. And overall, I do feel like this is one of the film's biggest strengths, in the sense that it does an incredible job at demonstrating the complexity of sexuality and attraction. Because human attraction is a lot more complex and nuanced than I think a lot of people think it is. It's very rare that somebody is truly only attracted to one gender. Because there are so many different other factors out there that contribute as to why and how a human being would feel attraction towards another human being, regardless if they're male or female, them or they. There's so much that goes into it, because you can just tell that there was so much thought put into every detail of this film. And a lot of it is character details. We spend a lot of time with these characters, and, each moment is absolutely crucial. And we get to learn not only about these characters as individuals, but we get to learn how these characters are dealing with the attraction that they have with each other through, again, the attention to detail to body posture, the attention to detail to the body gestures, to, again, facial expressions. Every tiny thing about these characters is explored. And it not only makes the film feel more natural and immersive, but it allows the audience to get a nuanced understanding of these characters and how they feel for each other. And the execution of all this is done so incredibly well that the fact that this is a gay romance is just totally out the window. That's a complete afterthought, because all you can think about is that these are two human beings that just have a deep spiritual connection with each other. And I also really dug this film's seasonal awareness, if you will, in the sense that, most of this film where we follow the romance takes place during the summer. And, everything's so bright and vibrant. And to me that, symbolically, that represents a sense of adventure, a sense of discovery, being fruitful, a sense of blossoming, and also obviously happiness and excitement. And then, the last 20 minutes or so, this film takes place in the winter, and, contextually, it reflects the emotions and the themes incredibly well. It obviously represents a more somber and dreary attitude, a sense of tragedy. And again, it just goes back to how detail-oriented this film is. It's an incredibly meticulous film from start to finish. And also that has to do with the element of time, because in this film, I feel like time is represented in a way that makes it to where that is your actual true enemy. Because in this film, I noticed pretty early on that, unlike most films that depict a gay relationship, there's pretty much no social pushback in this film. Whether it be from society or from, their parents or just the people around them or social pressure. The conditions here are essentially perfect. It's like a safe haven for anybody that just wants to completely explore their sexuality. These characters, especially Elio, are in an incredibly privileged position. Not only because of the fact that they have the freedom to explore themselves any way they want, but, even in terms of class. Timothy Chalamet's family is incredibly well off. They're definitely part of the upper class of society. And, to be honest, that was kind of a criticism that I have with the film. And I still do have a little bit. And it's not because of the fact that, it's not just because that they're rich and well off and privileged. I just feel like the film didn't have enough self-awareness in regards to that. I guess I just kind of wish that there was more of an exploration into this, because it's really obvious that they're rich as hell. I guess I just feel like this film would have been even more effective and benefited from, exploring this obvious class divide. And it would have enhanced the film, in my opinion, because it would have rooted these characters to reality a bit more. It would have made them feel a little bit more down to earth and relatable, because a lot of that upper class culture in this film is very unrelatable to me. And I understand that a film doesn't have to be relatable for it to be good, per se. But at first, it is quite difficult, to connect to these characters and care about them the way that the film wants you to, because, they're in such a highly privileged position. But to circle back around to my original point, these characters have no pushback whatsoever, basically. And so with no pushback, the film tries to find, something of conflict. And to me, this film demonstrates the kind of impending doom of time as its real conflict. The temporary nature of their relationship is what's truly scary and haunting. And the reason why that is because it affects everybody equally. The inevitability of the passage of time is something that nobody can escape, so once you lose your time, you can't get it back. And this theme is beautifully, and I do mean beautifully, demonstrated in the last monologue type scene that we get with Elio and his father. The script writing there is incredible. It's true. It's relatable. It's honest, and it's just emotionally compelling and also devastating. And it's probably one of my favorite moments in the film, if not my number one favorite moment in the entire film, because it's just beautifully written and acted all around. And I think allows all the themes to kind of come full circle. And also the final shot to this film as a credits roll, really compelling stuff. And again, contributes to why I highly believe that this is Timothée Chalamet's best performance by far. It goes back to how much of that intense and deep, subtle emotions that he has to express with just his face. And, completely knocks it out of the park. I mean, really, really impressive stuff. So I'm going to give Call Me By Your Name a solid to strong 8 out of 10. Yeah, overall, I think that this is a really impressive piece of filmmaking, and I totally understand why people are in love with it, because again, it's an incredibly detail-oriented and meticulous piece of filmmaking that's wonderfully acted by the two main actors, and really everybody else in this film, beautifully acted all around. The direction overall is essentially pitch perfect, and I really wouldn't change a thing about that. Oh, and of course, how could I sign off without talking about the peach scene? The peach scene, A1 sauce. Lives up to every expectation that I had for it. And honestly, what was more interesting to the peach scene itself was the aftermath of the peach scene, where, Oliver kind of comes into the mix and kind of teases him about it. I actually found that interaction more compelling than the peach scene itself. But yeah, either way, I just had to say something about it. Either way, that's all I gotta say about Call Me By Your Name. If you really enjoyed what I had to say about the films, give it a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content.